guys, it's Brittany here. Welcome back to my Color Guard YouTube channel. If you're clicking on this video, I'm going to assume you're one of those fabulous first years out there who's trying to learn more about the world of Color Guard. If that's the case, then this is the video for you. However, if you don't know the previous skills that are listed in this playlist, such things like, drop spins or singles or whatever, if you don't know those basics, this won't help you very much and it's going to be kind of a struggle. It's going to be 1,000 times harder than it needs to be, so why do that? Watch those videos first and master those skills, then come here. If you've already done that and are looking for tips on how to do parallels or 45s, then that's awesome, and we're gonna go there. So, first things first, we're gonna learn the basics of parallels. Parallels are kind of like our building blocks to 45s. Parallels are also just kind of a hard toss on their own. So we kind of gotta learn how to do that before we can, move on. So, first things first, we're gonna start at a right flat. Parallels can be done on both sides. Typically they aren't, but like we do with our, vertical tosses like singles and such, they can be done on the left, but sometimes we don't. So in this case, we're gonna start on the right. My right hand will be palm down to the ground on my tab. My left hand will be palm up to the sky. I'm gonna say about my third right here. So if you don't have thirds taped, try to think about halfway and go just a little bit past that, okay? We're going to start here. So notice one is up, one is down. First thing to think about parallels is kind of just toss all that fear out of your brain. Just like with any tosses in Color Guard, your body's initial instinct is it doesn't like things flying towards your head or your face. So tosses like these are generally pretty scary and your body's initial reaction is to not want to catch them. I get that, I understand. Like I said with previous tossing videos, is you just have to kind of get that first fail out of the way, that first drop, and then kind of life automatically becomes easier. So first things first is how we release it. My flag starts flat, and like the word parallel means, it has to be completely even with something else. In this case, my flag is completely parallel to the ground, so it's going to be flat the entire time. So as I release it, it's going to come up, 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 continue to be flat, and I'm going to release it about here above my head. So notice, that's how I mentioned you're going to be a little scared at first because it's rotating above your head. Not exactly something that your body likes. So, first thing I always teach, just to kind of get that fear out of your head of having something by your head, is just grab your flag and toss it into the air as high as you can get it. So that way your body can kind of react to catching it, and you can just kind of get used to seeing it up in the air. So that's kind of your first thing, is just get it up there first. Even if it's not the prettiest thing, like that just was, you want to just make sure your body can get used to the feeling of having something by your head. Once you get comfortable, all you have to do versus this is as you're getting up here, instead of just going straight, your arms are going to cross just a little bit. Right hand a little in front, left hand a little behind, so you can get a nice twist. People kind of compare it to being almost like if someone's tossing pizza. You know how the pizza kind of spins like that? Your flag's going to do the same thing. Okay? So I'll give you an example. So we're here, so instead of going straight up, we're going to twist it just a little bit. 5 and 6 and 5, 6, 7, 8, release and catch. So a couple little notes if you didn't catch it from my actual toss of the parallel. So we're going to start right hand on tab, left hand down here. It's going to rotate once, flat above my head. It's going to come back down. Same thing, catching at waist level just like we released it, except of course I'm going to catch opposite instead of over. I'm going to be under, and instead of, opposite, you get it. Reverse hands. So, like I said before, a parallel can be one of the easiest tosses to learn. It can also be the hardest, depending on just like your mental state. If you're just too scared it's going to hit you, you're never going to be able to toss it. So like I said, I'd highly suggest just like kind of tossing it in the air, like letting it fall, because then your body will just be like, okay, I won't die, awesome, let's do this. It's just kind of the way you learn color, in case you haven't caught that already. So now that we've kind of gone over the basics of a parallel, like I said earlier, a parallel is the building blocks of a 45. So now if you've got your parallel nailed, if you don't move on. But if you haven't nailed, we're going to learn a 45. So let's go. Alright, so if you heard this portion of the video, that means that your parallels are beautiful and you're able to move on to 45s. I will let you know in advance that 45s tend to be the hardest flag toss to learn. Not to scare you, just to warn you. And that kind of getting the rhythm of it is the hardest part because it's taking kind of the basics of a parallel, the basics of a vertical toss, and kind of cutting it in half. The the 45 toss gets its name from not being a parallel, not being a vertical toss, but being the 45-degree angle in between. So it's not 90 degrees, it's not 90 degrees this way, it's a nice solid 45. So I'm going to show you how we achieve that angle. So basically, we're going to start with my flag on my right side. Your flag's going to be on your right side, and my right hand's going to be palm down to the ground on my tab. My left hand is going to be palm up to the sky on my third. If you don't have thirds tape, just think about a little bit past halfway. And now we're here. Notice my right hand is literally touching my hip. My left hand's at here. Don't be at an angle. Or sorry, that's not an angle. That's a flat. Don't be at a flat, because then you're going to toss a parallel. Don't be vertical, because then you're going to try to toss a vertical toss. Remember, we're in between, so our flag should be tilted at kind of like a seatbelt angle. So now we're here, my flag should be straight towards you guys, or for you it should be straight towards whatever's in front of you. When we do a 45, like I said, it's going to cut at a 45-degree angle. So remember our 27 points, which are our best friends, and they still should be. So we have point, remember, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember that? So point 4, which is, straight in front of you, pointing towards the sky, that is where your flag needs to point to. So when I release, my flag's going to go from here. It's going to cut the flat, or 0.5, in front of you, and come up to 0.4. Notice how my flag is kind of like a unicorn horn, as I've been taught sometimes. It's coming straight out of my head. Like I've said with other tosses, the most important thing is, remember, feet planted. Once your hand's released, your hands have to stay there unless you're told otherwise, and you always catch 2 hands at one time. That's for your toss. Other things, make sure we know our hands before, during, and after. So we know before, I start right hand on my hip, on my tab, left hand up to the sky on my third. I'm here without my flag. My hands would be like this. So I go push, so up to 0.4 and to the back of my head, and they just come down kind of like the reverse of when I started. Okay, so now we know before, during, and after, what we do during our toss, all that fun stuff. So now let's do the toss. So now I'm going to show you how to do the 45 in real time from the front and then also from the side so you can see the angle. And 5, and 6, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now from the side. And 5, and 6, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3. Alrighty guys, so that is all I have for you today. Like always, I'm just going to kind of reiterate some important points I talked about throughout this video, or mention like I have in all my other tossing videos. Always know what your hands are doing before, during, and after. That's one of the 3 most important things of any single toss you do ever. Then, make sure whenever you start a toss, whatever position you start in, your feet stay there unless you're told otherwise. Same thing with your arms. Once you release, your arms have to stay there. And whenever you do any toss ever, no matter how big or how small, you have to catch 2 hands one time, just like how we clap. 2 hands, one time. So that's in regards to tosses. In regards to 45s and parallels, for me personally, and I know for tons of people I know in the color guard world, these are 2 of the hardest tosses you will learn on flag, if not the hardest. So if you're a first year, if this is your first time learning this, give yourself some credit. Don't be hard on yourself, and please, please, please take your time. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. That is literally the biggest thing that a lot of performers, especially color guard people, are afraid of, is to make mistakes. Practice time is your time to kind of, make mistakes and learn what's right. Okay? After that long dramatic spiel, that's all I got for you today. Remember, questions, comments, concerns, in the comment section down below. That's all I got. Goodbye.